Even if you've accepted that brand archetypes can help give you clarity, help you connect with your ideal clients, you might still be asking yourself, how do I actually apply this to my business? If you have, keep watching. I'm going to answer exactly that. My name is Kaye Putnam. I'm the psychology-driven brand strategist. If you're new to my channel, welcome. We talk about all things branding, psychology, and entrepreneurship here. Today, I'm going to take you behind the scenes of my best-selling paid archetype courses called Brandfluency. It's been taken by thousands of students. I'll share a few sneak peeks to make it crystal clear how you can apply your archetype to your business and your brand so that you start to see results. The result of using brand archetypes is amazing. I have had clients and students tell me that it has made their entire life make sense. My favorite moment is when I'm having a coaching call and I help people hone in on exactly what their archetypes are, because as soon as you know what they are, a light bulb goes off and you have so much more clarity on how to show up, how to move forward, and how to be your brand. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. Brand archetypes aren't just a concept. They're something that we can apply in a lot of different areas to shape the experience that people have with our brand. We can connect based on our fears and motivations. We can stand out in the market because we have a distinctive brand personality from people who are selling similar things as us. One of my favorite examples of this is whenever I stand outside the freezer in the grocery store, I'm looking at all of the ice cream options. I'm lactose intolerant, which shows how much I irrationally love ice cream. And the actual product are pretty similar from brand to brand, but the personality is so wildly distinctive. We have Halo Top with its innocent pureness. We have Godiva and Haagen-Dazs with their like sexy decadence. We have Ben & Jerry's with their irreverent political messages, and so on. Even if you're in a crowded market, even if you're selling something that is fundamentally the same as other competitors, your brand personality can help you stand out, and your archetypes help you do that. It can shape the actual stories and content and messaging of your brand, down to the values that you embody and the themes or metaphors that you share. It is an incredibly powerful tool for helping you show up in the world. Most of the entrepreneurs that I know don't lack for ideas. We have tons of ideas. We have lots of different directions that we could go, but we need a filter and we need a way to hone in on the best of those ideas, and archetypes can help us do that. To see exactly how you can use your archetype to inspire, inform, and magnetize your brand, let's go behind the scenes of my Brandfluency course. I have the Magician course up right now. There's actually 12 different entirely unique courses, one for each archetype. And we start with just the strategy, helping you get acquainted and in the mindset of this top archetype for you. But as soon as we get through that, it is all based on implementation. So we give a lot of examples. I feel like a lot of people learn through examples. We can see our archetype and we can see why we resonate with certain themes when we're seeing other brands, particularly big brands, do it really well. We can have the benefit of learning from brands who have millions and millions of dollar budgets that they spend on branding and marketing and benefit from that, even as a small business. Making this as concrete as possible, as soon as possible. So if you're a magician, you might learn from brands like Disney or Tesla or Apple. And by honing in on what they're doing, you can apply some of those same themes and ideas that are connected to universal human desires and values to your brand and to your storytelling and to your marketing. But this is just the start. It's not enough to just see what others are doing. We need to break down the different assets that make up a brand piece by piece by piece and see lots of examples in all of these different areas. And then we can start to notice what we really resonate with. And the powerful part about this is when we're taking inspiration from these bigger brands in a wide variety of industries, we can pull ideas in that's going to be incredibly unique. So instead of just looking at what everybody else in your industry is doing, you're looking at a through line, a thread of truth that brands in all different types of industries are using. And as I'm scrolling here, these are all examples of website design. So again, visuals are one place where archetypes show up really well. And it doesn't mean that you're going to look exactly like all of the other magician archetype brands out there, but you can start to notice how different brands are leveraging these themes and pull in what inspires you into your brand. Another place that I'm obsessed with thinking through the archetype lens when it comes to visuals is through imagery, particularly brand portrait imagery. This is probably because I used to be a portrait and wedding photographer. I was in high school and college. I ran that business for 4 years, but that was another lifetime ago. But I still believe that images are one of the best ways that we can communicate story and personality in our businesses. So I have a bonus training in each of these archetype courses that give you specific ideas, not only on how to plan your photo shoot, how to pick your photographer, but on brand examples for your archetype. I'm not going to get into every piece of visuals here in this video because we couldn't possibly cover it all. There is so much detail and there's so many examples and different pieces of inspiration inside the courses. But beyond websites and the big brands and photography, we can also be inspired in terms of our color palette, in the fonts that we're choosing, in the patterns or themes that we're bringing into our visual identity. All of this can be inspired by the themes and by the truth that your archetype represents. Another clear place where we can use our archetype to inform our brand and marketing strategy is in the messaging, in the copywriting. So there are a couple different lessons based on different parts of copywriting and messaging. I wanted to highlight this because it's one of my favorite parts of the course. I have sample headlines written, basically a swipe file that you can pop in keywords that are specific to your brand that fit your archetype. And these are different for each of the archetypes, like everything else. Another tool that I use all of the time is a word bank of on-brand language for each of the types. We have a generic way of saying things the first time, but after you write a piece of copy, particularly for VIP areas, so like your first email welcome, your website homepage, it really pays to be intentional about the emotional resonance that your brand is giving off. And one of the ways that we can shape that is down to the individual word choice. Are you using adjectives and verbs and names that are on brand for your archetype? Or are you sending people off in a different direction and confusing them? We want to be on brand and on archetype as often as possible. Another place that we do this is in our stories. If we had 12 different online coaches and they were all telling us a story about how they left their corporate job to strike out on their own and build their own brand with the intention of helping and serving people, we could shape that story in at least 12 different ways to pull on different themes and emotional cues. So for example, here in The Magician, one of the story prompts is how you came to notice and accept your own power. So if you were stuck in that corporate environment, maybe they weren't recognizing how talented you were, how valuable you were, how much impact you could make when given the chance. So you needed to set out on your own so that you can serve the world in the way that you were meant to serve and impact. And again, an explorer is going to tell that story a completely different way. A royal is going to tell that story in a completely different way. Even though the content remains similar, the way that we shape and frame it can change and have a greater impact based on our archetypes. Finally, beyond how we look as a brand and how we sound or what we talk about as a brand, we also have the opportunity to embed our brand archetype into the decisions that we make, the actual experience that people have with our brand. I discussed some of this in the business decisions part of the Brandfluency Archetype courses. So for example, a magician might have trade secrets that they're hiding or they're exposing. They are huge in showing transformation. So showing the before and after is a fantastic strategy for magician archetype brands. It's important for magician brands to use ritual and ceremony to mark the transition from different states of being. There's so much more. To give a quick recap, you can use your brand archetype to help inform your brand voice and down to the specific word choice that you make, the stories in your content, all of the different parts of your brand identity design, and especially images. They say images are worth 1,000 words for a good reason. It can shape the themes or metaphors that run throughout your entire business and also your strategic business decisions. And when we're working to apply our archetype in all of these different places, one of the most powerful ways that we can do this is by looking at lots and lots of examples. I have spent hundreds of hours along with my team, along with my audience, curating examples that are all found inside of these Brandfluency Archetype courses, from photo and video sets and setting those up in an on-archetype way, to how to blend your top 2 archetypes together and how to make those decisions about where each archetype goes, to all of the copywriting and voice and storytelling that is so important to connect with your ideal clients on an emotional level. So we're only scratching the surface, and we only dove into one of the 12 archetypes here as an example, but I hope by seeing the nuance and all of the layers of detail where you can use your archetype will help inspire you to get into action, to inspire you to either go out and curate your own examples or to tap into a resource like mine so that you can start to see what's possible. So you can have that creative catalyst to be more emotionally resonant to your ideal client. We have the opportunity to connect on a psychological level with every single decision we make as we embody our brand. Let's make the most of all of those opportunities so that we can connect with people, build trust, shorten our sales cycle, and help more people. If you haven't yet figured out what your top archetype is, head over to my website, kayeputnam.com, and you can take the brand archetype quiz. You'll get a free inspiration kit, which will get you started with visual inspiration and some word inspiration. So excited to see and to hear how archetypes shape and influence your business and your results. Keep building your brand, keep sharing your genius with the world. The people who you are meant to serve and impact need you to get your brand out in the world in a way that they're going to sit up and pay attention. That is the pathway to helping more people. You're doing amazing things. Keep it up.